It's Tuesday, April 18th, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we're going to talk about the Fury of Dracula. Let's do this.
So I listen to quite a few podcasts while I sit at work and do nothing. You know, and I got an anime one and a technology one and, you know, all kinds of different stuff. And I got one gaming podcast, the Gamers with Jobs Radio, that goes with that Gamers with Jobs website. Of course, I don't read that website.
Oh, yeah, we actually know one of the people there.
Yeah. But anyway, they were these two cool dudes, and they talked about video games, and they did it better than, like, you know, PC Gamer or GameSpot or 1UP or, you know, any of those people. So I listen to them, you know, once a week, whatever. They come on episode, get in the car this morning, and they start going on about how this is the last episode, and they weren't kidding. So now I'm without a gaming podcast.
It's weird that someone could just stop doing a podcast.
Well, they stopped doing it because one of the guys got a job with The Escapist, and they frown upon him doing something they pay him to do for free elsewhere at the same time.
What? That's a load of crap.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you pay me to write software for you and I do it for someone else for free at the same time, you might be upset, I guess.
But that's what most open source developers do.
I know, but apparently when it comes to writing about video games, they don't like that. So they don't. He can't continue doing this radio show if he works for them, and he's going to work for them. So that's that.
That's really kind of sad.
Yeah, because it was a really, really good show.
If anything, The Escapist should have used the show.
Well, they can't because Gamers with Jobs is actually like a profit company kind of thing, I guess.
They could pull something off.
Maybe.
Better than what they did now, just killing a good podcast.
Yeah, I'll have to go find a new gaming podcast that probably won't live up.
Well, there's always Geeknights.
I don't want to listen to myself. And I don't talk, and the thing is I listen to them because they talk about all the video games I don't play.
Why do you want to hear about the video games you never play?
Why would I want to hear about the ones I already played?
But the games you hear about that you don't like, you always bitch about. So why do you want to hear about what they do or what they are?
That way I know I'm informed. It's
know thine enemy.
So I can do some informed insulting instead of just that way. If someone comes up to me and is like, "You don't even know what that game is. You just know this is the name of a game that you're not supposed to like," I can be like, "No, I know about that game. That game sucks because of X, Y, and Z." So there.
Yeah, I've just got the problem lately of World of Warcraft people who try to talk to me about the game, and they'll say things like, "Yeah, Hearth Leet back 1F, Baker 9, whatever friggin' jargon they have in that game," and I have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah, what happened to simple jargon? I mean, game jargon is okay as long as...
All right, look, Zerg Rush. We all know what a Zerg Rush is.
I don't even play StarCraft. I suck at StarCraft. I know what a Zerg Rush is.
Well, it's obvious because it's self-descriptive. There's something called Zerg, and obviously they rush in some capacity.
Yep.
A fire sale usually involves something...
Fire sale.
Yeah. We should play that game again.
All right.
Yeah. I think it's partly that World of Warcraft seems to be set up to create a complex environment, and it's almost like people take pride in knowing the jargon of the complex environment that's utterly alien to others. It's like they wear their being able to speak in tongues as kind of a badge to non-gamers. Like, "Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about."
Yeah, well...
"You don't know what a hearth is? What the hell?" And I think, yeah, a hearth. It's where I put my fire.
Fear my Linux Hacksaw podcast skills.
What?
Exactly my point.
Okay. So in actual news, this is somewhat old news, but we waited to report it mostly because it didn't seem entirely possible or credible. But it's been picked up by every news source for a while, and there's really no denying it. Lucent Technologies is suing Microsoft, and the end result may very well be the discontinuance of the Xbox 360.
Wait. So there's a lawsuit somewhere, and if the lawsuit ends up against Microsoft, then the Xbox 360 will just die? No more games, no more systems, no more nothing?
It's possible.
Won't they just modify the Xbox 360 in some way and bring it back out? That's
not easy because the games that are already out and that are coming out also rely on the technology at issue.
Okay.
Basically, to make a long story short, there are MPEG-2, which is used in DVD and a number of other things, is a way of encoding video to make it smaller. compressing, like MP3 is for
Usually MPEG 2 is sort of, isn't it lossless or it's really high quality?
It's very
It's
high.
not really so much compression. It's more like an encoding.
Yes, though it is far from lossless.
Oh, yeah, I guess. But
Yeah.
the point is, it's usually not. It's not like MPEG 4 where you're trying to fit it on a little tiny thing.
No, but it does do significant compression, mostly because of the limitations of things like NTSC.
Yeah. It basically, if you use MPEG 2, you're getting a whole movie to fit on one DVD as opposed to a whole movie to fit in less than a gig.
Yeah, it's not very efficient. It has its issues, but that's what DVDs use for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a whole bunch of patents around it, and almost all of them are held by this consortium. I don't remember all the details.
The MPEG consortium?
Yeah, basically, well, no one cares except us.
Mhm.
I want to get to the meat of this.
All right.
But basically, if you have a patent that covers MPEG 2 and you put it in this pool of patents, then in return, you get a share based on how valuable your patent is of the licensing fees to anyone else who doesn't have a patent who uses MPEG. So basically, everyone who developed MPEG kind of works together and everyone wins.
That's a good idea.
Lucent has this patent that they've had for some time. They actually sued Microsoft back in 2003 about the same patent. So Microsoft knew this was coming. They have a patent on, quote, adaptive coding and decoding of frames and fields of view. And it basically covers the way the Xbox uses MPEG 2.
How does the Xbox use MPEG 2 besides to play DVDs that you put in it?
I don't know the details of the patent. I didn't read the patent, and
I mean, are they using MPEG 2 for FMVs in games?
I think they are.
All right, well, that would be one.
Also, the fact that the way it encodes it, or the way it can encode or decode it, or the way the developers can encode it, in the end result is that it infringes on the patent in a very obvious way. Like, no one involved in the case denies that it infringes, except Microsoft's lawyers.
This will probably just end with Microsoft giving someone another pile of money and then whatever.
Here's the thing. Lucent has more money than Microsoft. They're not just going to back down for some piddly pittance.
No, but it'll probably be a pile of money.
We'll
Some
see. Microsoft,
percentage of the total Xbox 360 profits or revenues.
Well, the thing is, Lucent is seeking an injunction to halt the sales of the Xbox and all sorts of nastiness. They're going for the throat.
Wow.
No one's really sure exactly why they're handling it the way they are, but it might actually be a matter of pride or a matter of getting back. I mean, Microsoft, this lawsuit came up a long time ago when the Xbox 360 was in development, and Lucent sued Microsoft, and it was eventually thrown out of court because there was a small typo in the patent.
Microsoft lawyers
I kid you
might
not. So the judge had to throw it out, and the only reason the lawsuit reappeared is because they went through the process of fixing the one typo, and now the patent is legitimate again, and now they're resuing.
Oh, pund.
I don't know what Microsoft thought, that it would go away, that they'd give up.
Yeah, this is a guy who's a lawyer, and his entire job since that first lawsuit has been fixing that patent and making the new lawsuit. There's a guy whose job it is to come after you. What are you doing not paying attention? What are you doing not hiring a hitman to kill him? What's wrong with you?
Now, I'm curious to see what the result of this will be. I mean, Microsoft has pretty much said, we're not going to pay you. We're not going to change the Xbox.
Yeah,
Fuck
they
you.
say shit all the time.
Now, I don't think Microsoft could afford to pay them off right now. I mean, Vista, unless Microsoft's lying and Vista's actually on time and awesome, Vista's going to be a failure, or at least not going to do very well. The Xbox, I mean, the news today was that the Xbox is plentiful. You can just go buy one if you want. There's no shortage anymore, and no one's buying them.
Yep, I actually saw some in a store.
Yeah, Costco has them actually for a significant discount.
Mm-hmm.
You can go buy an Xbox Premium with a pile of games.
The thing is, anyone who wants one has one, and now they're just buying games for it.
Yeah.
There's no one who doesn't have one that wants one. Maybe in the holiday season coming up, since, it'll be a year old, maybe they can drop the price a bit and people will go after it.
I think they're still selling it at a loss. We don't know the details of that, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, this lawsuit, depending on how it goes, might be big trouble for Microsoft. And every analyst I've seen writing about it basically said that, yeah, the patent's valid. There's no way Microsoft can fight this.
Well, it's never happened before where, a very, very popular product was just taken off the shelves and destroyed. It's never happened. I can't remember it.
One IP lawyer said specifically, the RIM lawsuit over BlackBerries?
Yeah, that was almost the first time it happened.
Yes. They said that the egregiousness of the offense on Microsoft's part and the clarity of the patent is far greater in this case than it was in that case. And that case was pretty solid.
Yeah, that case. Well, even though NTP was just a company that held patents and nothing else. Lucent's a real company that does things. So this is complete, whoa, you know.
Yeah, so we're reporting on it. A few people actually asked me about this. So don't bother us again. We'll report again if there's any developments. I don't think there will be for a while. This is one of those takes years to complete lawsuits.
That's good for Microsoft. They can sell years of Xbox 360s, and by then they'll sold all the consoles they're going to sell. They can just keep making games and whatever.
Yep. My only question is I wonder why Microsoft didn't do something back when they were sued the first time.
Maybe they thought that once they get the system out, it won't matter anymore. If they could block the Xbox 360 from ever getting sold, they'd be fucked. But as soon as they got it out there, it's out there where they win.
But back in 2003, couldn't they have just paid whatever licensing fee they would have had to pay? Unless Lucent refused to take it.
Well, see, that's the thing is that there's no mandatory patent licensing. If you don't want to license your patent out, you don't have to.
Yep.
So there really needs to be some sort of thing where, you know, people have to license the patent to you. If someone has a patent on something, I mean, sure, that's not the perfect solution to fixing the whole broken patent system, but that's one aspect that needs to be fixed, is if someone has a patent and I want to make something that would normally infringe, there should be some basic rate that I pay, and that's it. I
mean, we already have that for music.
Yep.
And as much as that system is broken and corrupt and stupid as well, it's a step up.
Yeah, if I want to play someone's songs, they have to let me if I pay. That's the way
and
it is.
There's even rules about how much they can charge.
Yep. Well, there's standard whatnots and everything.
Yeah. But anyway, we went long on that partly because it's our only non-fluff news.
It's a fluff news.
Yay!
So this guy, he bought this shitty Xbox 360 game where you're a World War II pilot or something. That's not the point. The point is he bought this game, and it has a bug in it. A bug that at some point in the game forces you to fly in circles and die. And you basically can't continue with the game because it's a huge bug and it sucks. So he went to the store to return the game, as someone should do.
Yep.
And he said, give me a refund. They said, we can't give you a refund. He's like, all right, give me store credit equal to the value of the game and I'll get a different game. They're like, we can't do that either. We have a store policy.
Ooh, a store policy.
So the store policy was that if he tried to return an opened game, his only choices were either another copy of the same game or he could sell it back. You know, you sell it back to the store for like half price and then it kind of sucks. So he says, you know, he argues with him a whole bunch and he gets the manager and he argues a whole bunch and he's like, screw your store policy, you bastards, blah, 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 blah. Finally, he says, fine, I'll take a new copy of the same game. And he takes it. And then he goes over, you know, to hang with his kid who's looking at DS games, right? Then, like a minute later, he goes back over to the counter. He says, I have a game. It's in the package. It's unopened, and I have a receipt. I'm returning this for a refund. Fuck you.
That guy's awesome.
And they were basically like, uh-oh.
You know, that's very much like what I did when I needed to replace the sunglasses portion of my glasses.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I had some glasses, and I think I might have told the story a long time ago, but someone stole the sunglasses that clip onto my glasses.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the glasses place and I say, yes, I lost my sunglasses part. Can I buy another one or something? I mean, I was willing to just pay because, I mean, I felt bad, but someone stole it, but it was my fault for leaving them on a table.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, I'm sorry, you can't buy that separately. It comes with the whole frame set. And I said, oh, well, I have that warranty thing, so can I just get a new frame set? And they said, no, your glasses aren't broken. I said, okay, and I left, and then I broke my glasses in half, and then I walked back in, and I went through the same deal, and I got new glasses.
Yep. It's like they could have, I mean, you probably would have gladly traded in your perfectly okay glasses for, you know, the new ones with the same whatevers.
Yeah.
But instead, no, you gave them some broken ones. It's pretty stupid of them.
Yep.
They could have sold some used glasses for like half off or something.
So did this guy's cunning plan work?
Of course it did. I mean, well, you know, they were real reluctant, but this line built up behind him and he made a scene. So the guy was like, the guy at the store was like, yeah, I'm going to get in big trouble for this, blah. And he's like, fuck you. Give me my money. And they gave him his money and then he left. And his wife was waiting out in the car the whole time, but then she didn't care. She was all cool, as she should be. So.
All right.
So, everyone out there, you should know that if a game store refuses to take your return on a game, but they have a policy allowing you to get a brand new unopened copy of the same game, do what this guy did and make a scene. Don't be a wuss.
In general, whenever a company tries to screw you, make a scene. Because, I mean, I don't want to I don't want to suggest to you that you should always be that loud woman screaming and yelling.
Well, because the loud
Walmart.
woman is yelling about something stupid. She's not in the right usually. She's just a nut.
Or the crazy angry guy standing outside the restaurant complaining that he saw a rat because he really just didn't have any money to pay.
Mm-hmm.
That's not cool. But if a company legitimately screwed you, screw them right back.
Oh, yeah. Got to be smart. Got to, when they have... It's mostly stupid company policies. You got to beat the shit out of stupid company policies. Because companies make these things, they don't think about them, and you use them to get them just as much as they use them to get you.
Yep. Now, of course, sometimes they might just say, screw the company policy. Whatever. Go away. We don't care. We don't want your business. Because you really have no recourse at that point.
Call them BBBBs.
Yeah, you realize how many complaints are lodged against companies?
A bajillion.
And no one really cares. It takes so much to actually get a company without a lawyer.
But it does still, it's like does a tiny bit.
Oh, yeah.
So it's worth it.
It's like bringing out those whatever sorcerers and magic and tapping them every round.
Yeah, Tim. Some know me as Tim.
So, things of the day. I found this, and I was sitting around bored waiting for something to finish at work, and I thought it was rather amusing. It's basically a rundown of the differences between the North American release of Super Mario Bros. 2, a.k.a. the weird, screwy, non-canon Mario 2 where it was all a dream, and the Japanese game that it was based on called Doki Doki Panic. It basically goes down the list with screenshots and descriptions of every single thing that's different between these two games. Doki Doki Panic didn't look like it was that great of a game.
Doki Doki Panic is actually, like you think, I'll play the original real deal. No, it actually wasn't such a good game, and when they turned it into Mario 2, they made it a lot better.
Yep. And actually, little known fact that Super Mario 2 in the US was actually re-released and re-imported into Japan as Super Mario USA.
That is correct. And Super Mario 2 Japan was brought over here inside the Super Mario All-Stars cartridge and inside the Game Boy Color Super Mario Brothers cartridge as The Lost World.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, Lost Levels, I think.
Lost Levels, Lost Worlds, who cares?
Yep. All I got to say is that Super Mario 2 is one of my favorite games. I don't know why.
It's actually not such a bad game when you get down to it.
Yeah.
It's not as good as No Mario 3, but it ain't bad.
But you'd be surprised at some of the changes they made. I mean, the game itself functions pretty much identically, but they changed some sprites, and one of them, they changed one of the vegetables so it looks different. I really can't figure that one out.
I don't know. One thing that weirded me out is that the POW bricks, which look just and work and look just like the POWs from plain old Mario Brothers, were unchanged, except they changed the sound, but they didn't change the way they look, which means Doki Doki Panic ripped off the POW bright.
Yeah.
POWs.
Yeah.
Ripped off the POWs from the original Mario Brothers.
The other interesting thing is that Doki Doki Panic, how in the Mario 2, a lot of the sprites are animated. Like the hearts do little wobbly wobblies and everything's kind of animated. Nothing was animated in Doki Doki Panic. Everything was a static sprite just moving.
Yeah, it really wasn't such a shiny game at all.
Yeah, and it was largely forgotten until the internet brought it back.
Well, that's a good thing because I'm glad I know that.
Yeah. And the site also has a nice comparison of Super Mario 3 in America versus in Japan.
There really weren't too many differences with Mario 3.
Yeah, Kuribo's shoe is red.
Well, no, it's not red. It turns red when it gets hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
But the main change is that in Mario 3 America, if let's say you have, the Tanuki suit and you get hit, you turn into just plain old Super Mario. But in the Japanese one, if you have the Tanuki suit and you get hit, you turn into Tiny Mario, which makes it a lot harder. So here's some other Mario that's kind of freaky. Like, it freaked me out.
I really don't know what to say to this.
I have no idea what to say to it either, so I'm just going to describe it and we'll move on to save our sanity.
Yeah, I'll say that while I was watching, I kept thinking, like, there was this embarrassed memory of, wait a minute, do I know what this is? And no.
I can't tell what the hell it is. It's definitely 80s. It reeks of 80s.
It involves, let's just say all the things it involves.
Mr. Belvedere.
Ice.
Mario.
Koopa.
Some 80s people.
A whole bunch of little kids.
Some Toad girls who are kind of hot.
A computer virus.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah.
It starts out where it looks like some 80s teen show, sort of like a Saved by the Bell, but not. And one guy's acting all 80s cool, like he's the video master, and this hot chick that he's trying to hit on by telling her, he's so great at video games, and they're trying to play Super Mario Brothers, the original. Not plain Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers. So, and then, he's watching it, and as soon as she's about to play, there's some virus that infects the Nintendo, I guess.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Belvedere, dressed as Koopa, appears on the screen. And then, it zooms in on the TV, and you see Mr. Belvedere dressed as Koopa, and a bunch of bad guys dressed as Koopa Troopas and whatever. And it's Mario on Ice. You get like...
Yes, there's a bunch of little kids in the audience, and...
It's like 5 to 10 minutes, at least, of Mario on Ice, for real. And then after Mario on Ice, it zooms back out to the kid. But Mario on Ice is freaky. It's like the bad guy costumes are pretty good. The little kids are scary. The Toad girls, some of them are all right. The princess talks in this weird voice. It's not a weird voice.
Hey there, big boy.
Yeah, it's one of those voices.
Uh-huh.
Which is kind of strange for, like, Princess Peach now that we know what she talks like.
Mario and Luigi's voices were very definitely cartoon, original Captain Lou Albano style voices.
That's good, because that's the kind
Mamma
of voice...
mia, it's...
Yeah. I like how Mario and Luigi talk in, like, the Mario and Luigi Superstar games, where they're like, what's the bottle? Italian, there's, like, gibbering Italian nothingness. It's just Italian noises that aren't words. But yeah, they kill Mr. Belvedere, who's Koopa, and then you zoom back out to the scary 80s guy, and he gets the girl.
Oh,
somehow.
don't forget Luigi. They don't jump on the bad guys. Instead, Luigi has this like flamethrower, and he just kills them all one by one.
Yeah, like Luigi pulls a thing on this gun, and like a spark bomb comes out, and the bad guys just disappear. They must have a trap door or some sort of camera trick to make that happen, because
I don't know. This is one of the weirdest things I've seen in a while.
Just watch it and be scared.
And if anyone knows what the hell that is, the first one to tell us wins.
Yeah, the site isn't very descriptive at all, like where it came from. I guess it's just a video of Mario on Ice. That's the only thing I could think of it.
If there was a Mario on Ice, how come I was not there as a child?
Yeah, I mean, I saw freaking Beauty and the Beast on Ice, I think. I saw at least one Disney on Ice.
Yeah, I saw Muppet Babies live, and I saw Sesame Street live.
Oh, Sesame Street live is the best, or the Count has his cannon. I saw that in the theater at Madison Square Garden when I was like 3.
I actually like the Muppet one more.
I never saw the Muppet one.
Muppet Babies.
Did it have the guys in the little balcony going, ah, ha, ha, ha?
It was Muppet Babies.
Oh. Did it have little baby old guys in the balcony going, ah, ha, 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 ha?
I don't even remember. I was so young, and I have no idea.
You know what we got to do? We got Netflix some Muppet Show, yo.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah, that's what we got to do. All right.
So today, we thought we would talk about a board game that Scott bought on a somewhat whim after playing once, and we decided to play it with our friend Katsu. And it's awesome, but it has a fatal flaw.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, I played this game called Fury of Dracula. And it's exactly like it sounds. It's about Dracula.
It's really kind of cool how the game works. Like, playing it is awesome.
Yeah, it's not your typical board game where either, there are two kinds of board games I've played in my life. Every man for himself, where everyone's fighting against everyone else to see who can win. There's the other kind where you're trying to beat the game.
Yeah, like the Omega virus.
Yeah, there aren't too many games like this, but... Oh, no, there's a third type of game, but I'll get to that. Where, the game itself has a winning condition built in, and all the players are trying to manipulate their pieces in such a way as to beat the game itself. Another type of a board game that I know is where there's a DM kind of like a Hero Quest, where one guy...
Yeah, or Necromunda or Doom, the board game.
Yeah, where it's like a walk around the map and kill guys and level up and collect items, and there's a DM who kind of controls everything, and all the other players are cooperating, but also competing for the best treasures.
Or the Lord of the Rings game, which is every man for himself, but there's a secret winning condition where you could fuck everyone and become
the Lord of the Rings game is try to beat the game.
But it's also every man for himself.
But it's also every man for himself.
Yeah, because you can win.
Yeah. So Fury of Dracula is a completely different type of game in that it's 4 versus 1. It can also be 3, 2, or 1 versus 1, but it's 1 versus everyone else. One guy is Dracula, and everyone else is the hunters trying to get Dracula.
Yeah, like Lord Goldeming and Mina Harker.
Lord Godalming, Mina Harker, Dr. Seward, and Van Helsing.
Yep.
The 4 hunters trying to kill Dracula. So one guy has there's a map of Europe, and Dracula has a card for every spot on the map of Europe except for the church where he can't go.
And he has one for his own castle, but it's a special card.
Yeah, the castle. See, the thing is, every card has the location on one side and a blank spot on the other side, so you don't know where he is. But if he goes in the castle, that card is double-sided, so you know where he goes. See, the cards kind of enforce the rules and prevent, Dracula from screwing up.
Yep. It's basically a game of hide and seek.
Yeah, Dracula goes around Europe, and the hunters have to first find him. If Dracula can just stay, if he can run away from the hunters and not get caught by them, he can pretty much kick royal ass. Like, if time goes by where they don't know where Dracula is, he's gonna win. Because every time Dracula goes somewhere, he leaves something evil there.
So he has this trail that's X long.
And if the hunters don't come across Dracula's trail, then the evil things in his trail mature, and they can get Dracula a lot of points, like 2 points, and he needs 6 points to win.
Yep. And there's this day-night mechanic where, like, during the day, the hunters are strong, but at night, Dracula and his minions are strong.
Yeah, but at night, you don't want to, let up and try not to find Dracula, because then you'll lose him. But at the same time, you don't want to fight him, because he'll bite you.
Yep.
Yeah. And also the evil things in his trail are a little more powerful at night and all kinds of nasty stuff. But it's really fun. 4 people, working together, and one guy at the table is Dracula trying to run away and figure out what to do and be secretive and keep his poker face on.
Yep, there's definitely 2 games here. I mean, if you're Dracula, I haven't actually been Dracula yet. Scott's been Dracula once.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a totally different game, but at least from the hunter's perspective, it's you and 3 friends yelling and screaming and arguing and trying to figure out where Dracula is before he kills you all.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's real easy to figure out where he is, and sometimes not so much.
Yeah, there are a lot of discussions like, all right, we know he was in Brussels. He was in Brussels 2 turns ago. Where did he go? I think he headed to Eastern Russia. No, but he's been over in Eastern Russia. He can't go back there. He's trying to head for Ireland. Why would he go there? He has to go over the water. Fuck the water. Go anyway. Oh, my God.
Yep, and it's a lot of fun. The problem with this game?
Takes for fucking ever.
This game is like a 3-hour game.
Like, they're not kidding. Generally, whenever a game says how long it takes to play, we cut that in half because we blow through games.
Yeah, if a game says 1 hour, we play it in 30 minutes to 45 minutes. This game said 2 to 3 hours, and it took us 3 hours.
Not even counting the time it took to teach me and Katsu how to play.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a while. I think we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the different encounters meant, because these little square encounters, you have to learn what the symbols mean and exactly what they do and all that. And there are a lot of cards we had to stop and read, but even with that, we might have been able to cut it down to 2.5 hours, getting rid of those complications, It still took a long time.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if the fun of the game completely mitigates the fact that it takes too long.
There's also the problem that we played it late at night and we got tired.
Yeah, but even barring tiredness, I could see how as the game drags on, I mean, the tension rises, but there's a point at which the tension just disappears, and I'd rather the game end and not really care who wins.
Yep, that pretty much happens with any game, no matter what. If it takes too long, it's like, I don't care anymore, I just want to finish playing this and do something else, because you can only do it for so long. I also think that if you played with, a full set of people, that if you really got into it, you can keep the excitement up of chasing Dracula a little longer.
Yeah, I mean, the primary fun of the game for the hunters is definitely interacting with the other hunters.
Because you're not interacting with Dracula at all.
Dracula sits there raising his eyebrows periodically.
Yeah.
Unless he's Scott, then he's staring intently at wherever he's hiding.
Well, Dracula has his little tiny mini-map. We'll get to that.
All right, so I guess now we could just go into a kind of a technical discussion of the game itself and the mechanics within.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the map, I mean, is broken up into Eastern Europe and Western Europe, even though for some reason Italy is squarely in Eastern Europe.
I don't know why that is.
Maybe for game balance.
Yeah.
There are railroads all over the map. There are roads all over the map. There are ports. It has all of Europe. It even has Ireland.
Yep. Oceans.
There are big cities and little cities. Hunters can move by rails, they can move by roads, they can get in boats. Dracula can do anything except ride trains.
Yeah, and if Dracula rides on boats, he loses blood. And that's really the only way Dracula can lose, if the hunters take away all his blood. So, if he has to run away to the ocean, he can usually lose the hunters at sea by various means. But at the same time, he's going to lose blood for doing that. So he can only do it so many times.
Now, every time a hunter goes to a city, depending on what kind of city they're in, large or small, or which hunter they are, they can draw event cards and or item cards. Now, items are things that they can just put in their stock and use to various effects. Things like holy water and crucifixes and garlic. They're all good. The best one, I seem to think, is the pistol.
The pistol's pretty good. The dogs are pretty good. Because the dogs can get rid of a lot of encounters. Some of the things that are really powerful, like the holy water, will be destroyed if you try to use them. So it's like a one-shot, super awesome thing.
And then there are events. Now, the deck seems to be, it's set up to where 2/3 of the cards are good events for the hunters, and 1/3 are good events for Dracula. And you draw from the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, well, because on the back of the cards, there's a symbol that lets you know if it's a Dracula event or a hunter event. So when you draw it, no one looks at it. But if it's like a hunter event, the hunters all look at it. And if it's a Dracula event, Dracula looks at it. That way you don't know what the other team has.
Yep, it's real scary when you draw a Dracula event. Fuck, and you hand it over to him, and he looks at it, and he smiles, and then he puts it down face down, and he just waits for you to continue with your turn.
Well, it might be a play immediately event, in which case he just reads it to you and then laughs. Yeah. Or it might be an ally, in which case he puts it on the side of the board or throws it out.
Yep. Now, there are multiple schools of thought in terms of events, because on one hand, there are more good events than bad events for the hunters. So you want to draw as many events as you can all the time to get Dracula.
And some of those events are really powerful. Like, there are two ways for hunters to, immediately try to get Dracula with, superpowers of finding him. And that's resolve, which you get 1 resolve per day, or events, which can sometimes be as good as resolve. So, getting those events can really help you out if Dracula is really evasive.
But at the same time, the more events you draw, the more events you're giving Dracula, who has no other way to really get events.
He has one way to get events, but it's not easy. It's really kind of sketchy. So the main way of Dracula getting events is hunters drawing events from the bottom of the deck and, Dracula's events showing up.
Now, the strategy I seem to see in general is that you should generally, in the very early game, take events because you need to track Dracula down quickly. You have no idea where he is. A lot of the events help you find him. Mm-hmm. At least they'll give you the end of his trail so you know where to start or something like that.
But once you have an idea of where he is, taking more events can, hurt you because then he'll get away if the right one comes up.
God, the game we played, right away, right a freaking way, we found Dracula.
Well, it was just random chance. I put my guy right next to the hunter, hoping the hunter would go to any of the other 4 possible adjacent cities, and then I would follow the hunter around because they're always going to try to go to someplace new. They think he was just there, he won't be there.
But I thought, before the game even started, I'm going to travel in circles because Dracula can't go to the same city twice.
Yeah, that's fine. I still get away.
Yeah, so we caught him. We tracked him down. It's day. We're going to go stake him. Then we drew an event, and the event was Dracula can teleport anywhere for free.
Mm-hmm.
We about cried.
Yep. That's what happens. There is a certain amount of luck in the game, but it can be countered by good strategy on the hunters and good strategy of Dracula. Overall, if Dracula isn't good at getting away, he'll be caught and killed. And if the hunters aren't good at finding him, Dracula will sneak up on them in the night and drink their blood.
Now, Dracula can leave these event tiles on the cards as he moves.
They're encounter tiles, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, basically, the way Dracula moves is he goes through his little deck of every city in the game. He takes this card of the city he's going to, and he puts it face down on this track. And then he can choose to put an encounter on that also face down. If you go to a city, you say, I went to Brussels. And then Dracula either has to show you the Brussels card from his little deck, which means he's not in Brussels or he hasn't been to Brussels recently, or he has to flip over whichever card in his track or in his catacombs is Brussels.
Because if he's not holding it, it must be either on the table in his track or in the catacomb.
Yep. And if there's an event there, he flips over the event, and now you have to deal with it.
The events range from wussy stuff to a guy with a rifle and a knife to kill you.
Yep. Or some bats or some fog or
some monsters, a vampire. The new vampire is the tricky one because the new vampire, if you come up on it during the day, it just dies. You kill it. If you come up on it during the night, it can kind of hurt you.
Yep.
But if Dracula puts a new vampire out in a city and you don't find that city and that city falls off the edge of the track and the vampire is still there, Dracula gets 1/3 of the game closer to winning, and that's basically Dracula wins. Now you're in big trouble if a vampire falls off the edge. So that's Dracula's key strategy is put the vampires somewhere the hunters won't find them and get them to fall off the edge of the map.
Now, obviously, if you only have one of every card, Dracula can't go to a place again until that card falls off the trail, which means Dracula is forced to always keep moving.
Dracula has a lot of restrictions on his movement, which makes it easier for the hunters to figure out where he is as they get information. A small amount of information plus knowing the rules of Dracula's movement can make it pretty easy to limit the places he could possibly be. But it's never really possible without revealing a ton of information to 100% know where he is. And that's how he keeps getting away is, in that small percentage, always being in the place the hunters don't try to go.
Unless, of course, you corner him in a situation of, well, he's been here, here, and here, and we know he's been there. The only place he could possibly be is here unless he used a hiding card.
Yep, that's if you get a whole bunch of information.
Yep. Now, I mean, he has a couple of special movements. Like, he can turn into a wolf and
at night
and jump 2 cities.
At night only.
Yeah, and if he has to use the card. And then he can't use it for a while. And it informs everyone that he used the card. So oh, crap, he just jumped a city.
Yep, but if Dracula hides, that allows him to stay in a city for 2 nights, which is something he usually can't do. But you won't know he did that. To you, it looks like he moved somewhere. But then if you end up in that city, there are 2 nasty things there now.
Yep.
It's not great.
And there are all sorts of tricks. Like in Ireland, there's only 2 cities. So if he starts in Ireland for whatever reason, he can stay there 2 or at most 3 days if he hides one of those days. Then he has to get in the water. Of course, I can think of a lot of tricks like starting somewhere other than Ireland, going for 2 days, going into the water, coming right back where you came from in the water.
Oh, there are lots of nasty tricks. If you look at the map real carefully, like there are things you can do to really confuse the hunters. Going to the Atlantic Ocean is one of them, because if Dracula goes to the Atlantic Ocean, you can pretty much tell when he's in the Atlantic Ocean, because when he goes out to sea, he puts these blue cards down and he loses blood, and he can't put nasty things at the sea. And he goes to the Atlantic Ocean, and then he plays 2 more sea cards, and then he plays a land card. There's like a million possibilities of where he could be. It's kind of scary. It's like you look at the map and it's like, oh, wow, he could be anywhere. Crap.
Yep.
That's how the guy, when we played against him, kept getting away. So he'd go to the Atlantic Ocean, go to 2 more seas, get back on land. Then when he got too close, back in the Atlantic Ocean. He lost blood, but he got away. When
you do run into Dracula or a minion, there's a combat mechanism in the game that's kind of subpar, but it kind of works.
Yeah, the combat is kind of I mean, you roll dice, which is the part.
Yep, you roll dice, and then you refer, depending on what an item card or attack card you used versus what item or attack the opponent used, you have a little lookup table and you figure out what the event was. So I play a knife card and he plays a claw card.
It's sort of like advanced rock, paper, scissors. It's like, if I have a claw and he has a knife and I win, we look on his knife card, right, for the word claw.
No, we look on your claw card for the word knife.
That's right. So if I play a claw and he plays a knife and I win, we look on my card for the word knife, and next to it says what happens. And vice versa. If his knife wins, we look on his knife card for the word claw, and we find out what happens.
That's it. Hunters have health. They can also be bitten by Dracula, which basically kills them.
Well, no, it basically kills Mina Harker. For the other hunters, it can help and hurt them to be bitten, but if they're bitten twice, they'll die. But Van Helsing can be bitten 3 times because he's a badass.
Yep. Now, a hunter dying doesn't kick him out of the game. It basically just fucks you because Dracula gets 2 points just like he'd matured a vampire. And you lose all your items and you wake up in that Church of Jesus and Mary in Eastern Europe all alone.
And then you lose a turn.
Yep.
Which means you can't be looking for Dracula in that turn and he can't be in the church, so yeah.
Yeah, Mina Harker getting bitten and dying in our previous game is the main reason Dracula won. Even though we almost killed him.
Yeah, well, Mina Harker starts out with 1 bite and 1 more bite will kill her, so a key strategy for Dracula is, do I want to reveal my location and run right after her to bite her and kill her? Or do I want to stay hidden and just try to wait it out and win? I basically waited it out, and then when I had my chance, I went after her and bit her.
Yep. Now, each hunter has a power, like a minor power. I mean, Van Helsing, I almost said Van Halen.
Van Halen. Dude, we should replace it with Van Halen.
We should. Get a little Van Halen figure.
Awesome.
His power is one that he can be bitten an extra time. He's that badass. And he can take an action after he's already taken an action if he kills something. So anytime he kills something, he gets to take another action.
Well,
basically.
normally if you go to a city, you move. Everyone's turn is move, take an action. Dracula's turn is move the clock, move Dracula, take an action. But Dracula's action is putting the little encounters on the little car on the cities. The hunter's action is taking event and item cards. But if there's an encounter in a city they go to, they don't take item and event cards. Their action is spent dealing with the encounter. Helsing gets the advantage that if he deals with an encounter, like let's say there's some bats, normally you deal with the bats, your turn is over. Van Helsing can deal with the bats and still take item and event cards because he's so cool.
Yep. Now, Mina's already bitten, and there's a mechanic where if you're bitten, Dracula gets bonuses against you, and he can see some of the cards you've got all the time.
Yeah, because he can control your mind and shit like that. But there's one advantage to being bitten, and that's that the other hunters can hypnotize you to find out where Dracula is.
Yep. And because Mina's always bitten, you can always do that. Now, Mina's actual normal power, other than that, is that she can basically draw 2 events when she resupplies, or 2 items.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
The Lord, we didn't
Lord
talk about
Godalming.
trains. Yeah, we didn't talk about trains, but Dracula can only go on the roads or in the water. Hunters can also use trains.
That's basically how they catch Dracula. Once they know where he is, they use those trains and they catch right up to him so he can't run away. All he can do is hide.
The trains are semi-random. You have to roll this die, and basically you'll either get to move 1, 2, or 3 spaces, or you don't get to move at all, or you lose your turn.
Yeah, the train can kind of suck. And the other thing is that trains in Eastern Europe suck, and trains in Western Europe... No, trains in Western Europe...
Trains in Eastern Europe suck.
Yeah. Russian trains, pieces of crap.
They're all yellow on the board.
Yeah. It's basically this one spot on a die that says 2, 3, and if you roll that number, that is a 1 out of 6 chance that you roll it, of course. It's a 6-sided die.
Of course.
Of course. And if you roll that number and you're in Western Europe, you move 3 spaces, and if you're in Eastern Europe, you move 2 spaces.
Now, the Lord's power is that he gets to roll the die again if he doesn't like the result. He's just so rich.
Yeah, but he has to suffer with the second result no matter what it is. So if he gets a 1 and he wanted a 2 or more and he rolls a 0, oops.
Then doesn't he get a bonus against fighting people or something?
He gets something else that's not so useful.
Yeah. And then there's Dr. Seward.
Dr. Seward is who I was when I was a hunter. He's actually pretty cool.
Yep. Now, there's a mechanic of instead of taking items, you can rest, which basically heals the hunter. And the drawback to that is that if you rest, you draw 2 event cards, and if they're good events for the hunters, you throw them away. But if they're Dracula events, they take effect.
So basically, it's basically letting Dracula draw 2 event cards if you try to get your health back.
Now, the doctor, you only draw 1. If you're near the doctor when you heal, or if the doctor tries to heal himself.
Yep. So if you're thinking about getting some blood back, the doctor, you have to go near the doctor. But at the same time, that means, when hunters get together, they can form hunting groups and stuff, but you're really limiting your ability to search for Dracula when you do that.
Yep, you do that basically when you know where he is, you're hunting him down, and he doesn't have any events left.
Yeah, if all the hunters get together, they can move together and, take items and events together. And if they do that, they're really powerful, and if they catch Dracula like that, they can pretty much kick his ass. As long as Mina Harker's not in the group, then she'll just die. Because Dracula will just go for her and forget about the rest and bite away.
So I guess in conclusion, this game is generally awesome, and it's really, really fun to play.
Yeah, but if you get bored from sitting there too long, either the people you're playing with are running out of energy or they can't concentrate on it that long, then it might not be the best game to play too often.
Yeah, don't bring this game to a party or...
It's something you want to plan ahead for, be ready for, and get all into it. If you're not all into it, it's not worth it because, if this game was an hour long, you could play it all the freaking time. But because it's 2 or 3 hours, you gotta, ration it.
Yep, we're definitely not bringing it to Toricon this weekend. There's no way we'd have a chance to play it.
No, we'll bring Kalis probably and something else.
Yeah. Every other board game we own.
No, not every one of them.
Well, no, we're not bringing Stratego.
Yeah.
Or...
But if you're looking for a good, nighttime activity for you and 4 friends, or, You got a weekend with nothing to do, and a bunch of people are real bored, but they're ready to get into something long and invest time into something great, then Fury of Dracula is really good, and it doesn't require as much difficulty as like a war game or something, but it's just as much fun strategies.
And once again, in closing, this weekend, if you're in the Rochester area, we're going to be doing our first live official show at a con at Toricon at the Rochester Institute of Technology.
So show up and see us if you're close by.
And if you missed that, we're also doing a show at
Otakon in Baltimore in August.
Yep.
And, join the forum, send us email. Don't forget we have a logo contest. If you make the Geeknights logo that we end up using, we give you money.
Yeah, we're actually looking at the submissions and talking about them and thinking, and we're hoping to see more.
Yeah, we don't have any sort of deadline, but that doesn't mean you just wait around forever because we're going to pick one as soon as we see one that's good enough, we're going to pick it. So if you have one that's even better than that, but you don't get it in before then, that's how you're going to lose.
Yeah, once we pick one, we're probably not going to unpick it.
Yeah, it's going to be sort of a permanent thing. So, don't rush, but don't be lax.
All right.
Slackers.
And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcast, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.